On the FM, I have Dr. Aaron Chapa with the Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center in studio. We're going to have some fun. Here we go. Good morning. This is KHEA 99.5 FM. It's the Living Well podcast with Dr. Aaron Chapa in studio. Dr. Chapa, how are you doing? We just got through Thanksgiving, but the holidays are just getting started.
I'm telling you, the holidays are great. It's already, the energy's shifted, man. People are excited. I heard a guy when we were out of town this Thanksgiving said, finally, we can celebrate Christmas with no other holidays in the way.
Nothing else is there.
Because apparently, when you're in showbiz, they've been doing Christmas shows all the way, before Halloween.
Wow, okay.
So they were, they said, we had to get through Halloween, and then now we got to get through Thanksgiving, and finally we can do a show for what it's all about.
Yes.
You celebrate probably like November 1, right? Starting Christmas. Is that how you and your family start? Because there are some families that do that.
Oh, absolutely. So, I think I've listened to every Christmas song from every genre, from the New Age down to the 60s, in every tune. I mean, I've heard it so many different ways. And it was a little abrupt this year. I wasn't quite ready, but my kids, they have a wonderful way of putting you into the mood of the holiday season. So Christmas is upon us, and now it's official. I mean, no one can deny Christmas is here. So, I mean, it's technically still November, but it sure does feel like December, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
Why not be thankful, though? You live that life of Thanksgiving and then just have that Christmas cheer year-round as well.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think I've listened to several, podcast sermons and different types of events. I remember, but I really think it came from when Perry Stone was here at the church, here at Abundant Life, that he was talking about, an attitude of gratitude and just being thankful is one of the key ingredients that just ushers the Spirit into our lives. And I think having the Spirit in our lives is what stirs up the joy. The fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. It helps us continually operate in what really matters most. So, man, I mean, and we talked about thankfulness and Thanksgiving last week, and so that should easily carry over, and we should always live in that space because, I mean, it is a little bit more enjoyable to be around people when they're cheery, right? I mean, you ever walked in a room and you could feel like, ooh, there's some dirty energy in this place.
They're not smiling.
Yeah, they're not smiling. They're snarling.
I feel it a little bit right now, if I'm being honest, and I don't think it's me or you, Dr. Chapa.
I don't. It could be the special surprise guest we have sneaking in the corner over here. So that's kind of funny. Good morning, Kurt. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanksgiving was fantastic.
Was it?
I lost 5 pounds.
You
so
did?
I didn't eat excessively like most people would do during Thanksgiving. I feel great.
Why do you get to be so hard on the most people?
Most.
I mean, that was a strong judgment.
I'm just trying to challenge people.
Oh, okay, I like it. Okay.
To go out and lose 5 more pounds because
To come up to your level.
to come up to my level.
Hey,
That's what he's saying.
I know. And he's definitely special.
At church on Sunday, Pastor Hallam put out an interesting, I guess, almost like a challenge, or just saying, hey, during this holiday season, why don't we go out and make a commitment to not gain weight this Christmas. Just because it's Christmas, why are we going to gain 5 pounds, 10 pounds?
There you go.
Let's just try and stay stay steady. And then, it's about, I guess, just limiting, what you're eating, or not overeating all the time.
That's right.
Or just trying to stay active when you can as well.
Yeah, usually he talks about not overspending, but this time he talked about not overeating.
Well, I definitely think both of them can be one and the same. I mean, they have, both of them have such value, because I have all the way up to the holiday, I had patients telling me, the Thanksgiving holiday, oh man, I'm off track. I went on vacation. I had a wedding. I had this event or that event. And it's one of the things that I would say is there's always an event. Right? I mean,
right.
Every one of us at any given point in time in our lives, there's some sort of event pressing. And there's always an opportunity to indulge in something too much. And there's the answer. It's about too much. And I heard somebody say the other day, and I thought it was kind of, a sweet taste on the lips and forever on your hips. Oof. I was like, dang, that's brutal.
That's why my hips are so big.
And so, but and then I thought about it, and because my wife says I'm not allowed to ever say that, and but I told her, I said, it's so good, I'm gonna like perfect it, and I'm gonna work it into my repertoire. But I say nothing below your taste buds wants that sweet treat, that dessert, that fake sugar, that artificial ingredient, that preservative. I mean, you got to think. I mean, those preservatives, you think that they're preserving your health and vitality, but really they're chemicals that are bogging your system down and causing your body to slip off into an accelerated inflammatory state. When you live in an inflammatory status all the time, your body will rapidly deteriorate. And it's like having a fire in several places of the body. And, one of the things that I saw just yesterday is I'm seeing flu strains pop up. So, moms, dads, kids, fellas, folks, ladies, beware. The flu is lurking in the shadows because people are indeed indulge in more than they should have, and their immune systems got weak. And so, we can talk a little bit today about how to make sure you keep a strong, healthy immune system.
I wanted to ask because it seems, just looking at social media, that the flu season is a lot worse this year. And I didn't know if that's just because I'm noticing it more, or have you noticed that it is stronger this year or cycles this year?
I have not. I have not seen it at all. Literally this week, maybe last week, I saw some interesting infections that looked like the flu. But a lot of my patients are, I have great protocols to help people with viruses. And the body, like, for example, quercetin or N-acetylcysteine are really great, like crowbars to pry out a virus that's lurking in the shadows of the body. And we use this product called Q-Force that has D, C, zinc, the key factors in immunity, and then the quercetin and N-acetylcysteine that improve liver function and prying that crowbar effect onto the viruses to purge those turkeys out of the cracks, and then the body can get a hold of them and destroy them. And so we come in, we have a way of, prying them out, and then we have a way of boosting the system using stuff like Viroforce, using things that's basically like an astragalus type herbal product that will literally seemingly knock a flu or a virus out in a couple days. I mean, it's just fascinating to see how herbs can be used more powerfully if you just appreciate, like, the minute you have a symptom, ask the question, what can I do for? Schedule an appointment, come in, let us help you, let us teach you why these tools are available to you and what to do so that you're not like down and out. Because, I mean, have you ever had the flu?
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, I have had the flu. Yes, I have.
It's bad.
I mean, if you've had a bad case of flu, the bones ache, the fever, the body just feels yucky. You're hot, you're cold, you're constantly you can barely sleep,
and you don't want to do anything. You just want to lay on the couch, and
which makes it worse.
Can't make it any more productive. Yeah.
Do you have the flu right now?
No.
Well, but that's interesting. So you do bring up a good point. So the viruses have a tendency to want you to get stagnant.
Right.
And so their goal is to put you on the bed, and because that's where they replicate their fastest whenever you're down and out. They just like feast on you.
We saw that with the C word that I don't like to mention very often, but that it would attack you and make you sleep. And
that's when you get sicker and sicker.
Sicker and sicker, yep.
Yep. And so one of the things that we would have to teach people through COVID is that they had to breathe through the pain.
Right.
And people would just say, "Oh, you didn't understand. I mean, the pain was so great." I'm like, I'm not discrediting what you're going through. I'm just telling you that, between Epsom salt baths, infrared saunas, between, deep breathing techniques, or, being as active as you possibly can is the necessity of life. Somebody has to encourage you to do what you don't want to do because we get it. You feel crappy, if I have to say it, right? I mean, no one wants to feel like that, and that's why they're stuck on the couch. And then we come in with tools, and I look at like all the supplements and stuff like software. I mean, I'm like downloading software into the body as fast as I can in order to see if we can get a change. And if we can get the immune system to turn the corner and start replicating a strategic attack faster than the virus, then you win.
So would you recommend, if someone is dealing with symptoms that are similar to the flu or just not feeling up to themselves, would you encourage them to go and exercise or like go for a run?
Well,
as much as that would be hard to do, it's actually going to be good for your body?
Yes.
Is that?
And so maybe, I mean, yes, if they had the ability to go for a run, that would be great. I mean, but really, if you've had the flu, I mean, the joints, the bones, the muscles hurt so bad, you really can't. So a walk, getting and just being mobile.
Walking around the bedroom, if anything.
If anything, yeah. And sit in a chair, stand up. Sit in a chair, stand up, Because if you can push yourself to do something more than you were doing, I can assure you that in the past, when I had a virus and I exercised. I went and sweated it out in an infrared sauna and did an ionto bath on the backside of it to help replenish and reload up the minerals. That's the kind of stuff that we find is most beneficial. I mean, that's using passive therapies, iontophoresis, detox foot baths, infrared saunas. Those are passive therapies. Getting an adjustment, and then downloading that software and then making yourself move. I mean, again, I know you don't want it to, but if you will, that's the best thing that you can do. If you can stay hydrated, keep the water pouring in, the hot teas, lemon ginger teas pouring in, put a little cayenne, a little apple cider vinegar in that. I mean, when you do things like this, these are natural remedies that have withstood the test of time that will upregulate your body's movement patterns and lymphatic flow patterns, and it won't allow stagnation to manifest in your body. And when you have stagnation in the body, a pooling, if you will, that's when the infections really rule. If you can break them up and divide their little armies, they can't strategize against you very well. It's hard for them to communicate that way.
Can I just mention that the up and down in a chair kind of exercising is like perfect for me. Like that is the exact kind of exercising I want to do the rest of my life.
I think they call that sit and be fit.
Sit and be fit.
That's right.
They
That's right.
on PBS.
We should like take little, since these our little things go up and down, we could literally just stand up for a couple minutes and then sit down for a couple minutes. The only problem is it messes up our cameras.
100% mess up the camera shots.
Yeah, we would definitely need more.
We need mobile camera operators
or robots.
The desk just slowly starts to rise up.
It does. I haven't tried it in a while.
Yeah,
but
no, that's pretty
don't
awesome.
do it.
So yeah, but we're still absolutely. This is what I call the winter months,
right?
And so we are building immune protocols, right, left, and Sunday for people. We've had patients coming in with fevers. We've had people coming in with stomach bugs. We've had people come in with flu-ish like symptoms. And here's the thing about viruses. They can be mycoplasmic infections where they actually hide inside of a parasitic envelope. They can hide inside of a bacterial envelope. They can put off that there's something. They can they're like those weird superheroes that can look like something that they're not. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of the guy that was. It was a Spider-Man one, and he could create like a scene inside of a space.
And in the DC universe, I'm pretty sure Martian Manhunter could do that.
Yeah, and so, but that's how I look at these viruses. I mean, I try to make these analogies that people have seen on TV or on movie screens so that they kind of get an appreciation that, I mean, even though you can't see a virus, they are absolutely real, and they have strategic ways of survival and making a home right inside your body. And if you feed them sugar, if you slow down your body's movement patterns by not exercising through the holidays, I'll pick it up in January. No. Hey.
New year, new me.
Yeah, 30 minutes a day. I mean, if the dude don't move.
The dude don't groove.
Oh, I love you guys. Y'all are like harmony. And so if we can keep active, even if it's a walk, your dogs want to go for a walk. Take those little babies for a walk. They love walking, and it's good for you. Really, they're taking you for a walk. You just got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and go do it.
Here's a comment from Alyssa. Alyssa said, I bike ride every time I feel something coming on, which seems like it's a pretty smart thing to do, because especially when it first starts, it's like, hey, I still kind of feel okay.
Yeah.
Even if you're going downhill, you can at least start moving.
Just get on a one wheel. So then that's not you don't have to really do exercise, but you're moving.
But that's a lot of balance, bro.
That's a lot of core. Yeah.
Both of y'all jump on that thing.
Yeah, that's right. We could have some fun.
Yeah.
We could race.
You were on that.
I know. I remember.
Yeah.
I like it.
We got to get you one for Christmas.
Okay.
I said, okay.
No, but absolutely. And the nice thing about biking too is it's not as hard on your joints pounding on pavement. I mean, we went for when we did the fun run event with Anchor Point Ministries, the Run for Hope. I mean, that 3.5 miles, I was like, this is gonna be easy, and I didn't run. I mean, I just, walked and talked and, was with my kids and, my older ones ran. And it was very interesting that the next day I was like, oh, wow, like my ankles, my feet, I felt sore in ways in the joints that I hadn't felt. And I mean, I work out every day, but I don't walk 3.5 miles every day. Your body adapts continually. So that was a really cool, thing to consider is like, hey, how often do you change up what you do? Or do you do the same thing in the gym every week, or do the same thing on the treadmill every week, or the same thing on the elliptical every week? Change it. Do a different activity. But, especially like what Alyssa was saying is when you're sick and you hop on that bike, you're pedaling those legs, you're putting pressure on your pelvic muscles, and that is changing the lymphatic flow. That lymphatic flow is a great active way to burn up bugs and help things move forward.
I just want to say one of the things that growing up, I never heard of a 5K. I never heard of a 10K. I never heard of 3 miles, 3.1 miles. It was always, hey, run a mile. Like we did the fun run was a mile. It wasn't a 5K. Is that something that did you remember that as a kid? Was that like a thing back in the day, or was?
I think it's gotten more popular as time's gone on, but I remember turkey trots. I remember that, but even a fun run, but I don't remember that growing up, 5K stuff.
Yeah, I was always the mile, story, like what we would do in gym class and stuff like that. You do a mile. Mm-hmm. And, but again, I think that as time has gone on and we have realized that sitting is indeed the new smoking, there was campaigns that were all about getting people active and people that had overcome cancer and people that have overcome inflammation disorders and autoimmune disorders because they got active. Walking 3.5 miles is a challenge for some people, and not everybody can run a full marathon. And that's always impressive. I mean, there was a guy that ran, he was running, I think, in 15 minutes. He ran the 5K in 15 minutes or something.
Wow.
It was practically sprinting. And I was like, did he just pass us twice? And he actually wound up doing it 2 times. And the second time, his jog was still significant.
I saw this, I think it was on TikTok the other day, but there was a guy who ran for 24 hours straight. Can you imagine? He was.
They call those ultra marathons, right? Where you're going for these extreme
100 miles,
mm-hmm. and they're doing, really extreme things. And but you got to be very versed and trained. That is a superior athlete. That's a lot of adaptation, a lot of training. One of my mentors, John Bandy, up in Austin, would say that it takes, in his opinion, and he's got a pretty successful, 50-year career in the field of biomechanics, chiropractic, nutrition, emotional work. Very well-versed fella. 2 years to develop your feet to run a marathon if you've never run before.
Makes sense.
And how many times do people say, hey, let's do a marathon in the Houston Marathon, and it's in 3 months, in 6 months. And not appreciating that. And then they don't get the right shoes. Then they, there's so many factors because running on concrete is absolutely a crazy thing to do anyway. So if you don't have the right shoe, it's like having, trying to do a job with the wrong tool in your tool bag.
It reminds me, have you ever watched How I Met Your Mother?
No.
Barney actually
TV show?
It's a TV show. Okay. Barney is on there and he actually runs the New York City Marathon. And he did it with no training, and he's like, "Oh, I'm great. I'm gonna do this," and ran the whole marathon. And then all of a sudden he got done and he couldn't move his legs anymore, and he got stranded on the subway. It was just like this funny thing.
There. I have a friend that was a roommate. He did the Houston Marathon without training. He made it through, but yeah, he was destroyed.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the thing is there's a book by Philip Maffetone called In Fitness and in Health. And I've read it several times. I've read several of his books. He's got all kinds of really neat philosophies around cardiovascular training, fat-burning training, how to navigate your heart rate down to access body fat as a fuel source as opposed to just relying on glycogen since it burns up so quick. He's a proponent that, carb loading is not the way that we should be, preparing for races and whatnot. And he would, in Fitness and in Health, he talked about that very concept that you can be fit enough to run a marathon or to do some sort of extreme act, but you might not be healthy enough. So you might find yourself destroyed. Ooh, what a terrible word, right? On the other side of it. So was it worth the accomplishment whenever you're broken in the little medic bed for days, or you get home and your knees are swollen up the size of softballs, and you say to yourself, "Why did I do that?" I mean, I remember
the medal.
Yeah, it's all about the medal. It's all about. I remember when I was in the gym, I don't know. We had some unnecessary amount of weight on the leg press machine.
He said unnecessary, meaning it was a lot.
It was, and I remember I was really happy with the fact that I did it, and I did it a lot. It wasn't just a 1-rep wonder. It was like several. It was like 20 reps, but when I finished, I asked myself, where in my life am I ever going to need to push, almost 700 pounds of weight? Like, where? I mean, I hope I don't ever weigh 700 pounds and need to tote myself around. I hope I don't ever have to lift that 20 times for fun. And I just kind of realized that, like, if fitness and in health, if I want to live to be 125 fully functional in spirit, mind, and body, which is health, right? And then I would have to come back and redefine, all right, well, Aaron, what is health? Here's a great definition for you what health is. Health is not the absence of illness. Health is how does your body respond when illness presents itself?
That is a book title right there.
And so, because the reality is it likely that everyone in this room is going to get sick in the next, couple of years? Something's going to happen, right?
Yes.
We're going to get a cold. We're going to get a flu. We're going to get exposed to something, or something. It's just not It's not. It'd be a lie to say otherwise. And so what health is that. How does your body respond? And I would say in the fitness and health conversation, how does your body recover after you've beat it down pretty low in a marathon, a ultra marathon, or the Ironmans, or even CrossFit Games, or all these extreme things? When you beat your body down in competition, how does your body respond? I mean, you're in the martial art. Have you ever seen those people that they finish a match and they go kind of paralyzed?
Oh, 100%.
What do they call that? Do you remember?
It's just an adrenaline dump of some kind, yeah.
It's just like when you go skydiving. You have an adrenaline dump after.
Didn't you say also in the adrenaline you actually lose seconds in the air?
You do, and then afterwards they tell you not to drive because of the adrenaline dump.
And so interesting, right? So adrenaline is a big, factor. And so if you haven't trained your body to acclimate or to adapt to those extreme scenarios, and you're not trained well, you could find yourself in a bad situation because you're not healthy enough to do the exercise or the activity. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. It just means that you need to be properly educated and trained on how to get your body to adapt well. And so the body is really all about adaptation. you get good at anything you start practicing. So if you're not good at sitting and standing, we got to get you good at sitting and standing again so that you can start potentially walking.
Gardy was making fun of my posture just this morning as we were walking in. I was like trying to do this, and he's like, "Why are you walking like that?"
Just wondering what he was doing.
He was waddling like a duck. Well, I was picking on a little guy yesterday. He's 10 years old, and he's got a really nasty crick in his neck, and he's also got a tick, and we saw. We found some issues in the realm of metals and chemicals built up in the tissues and the nervous system causing it, I believe. But we also were able to adjust him, and he hadn't been adjusted in like a year. But I started asking him questions about, what his activities are. He plays a lot of video games. Well, what's the posture of the standard video gamer? Slouched forward. What's the posture of somebody that's got an iPhone or an iPad in their hand? They're slouched forward, head cocked down. And when your head is tilted forward and you're like up against the wall reading a book or playing on your iPhone, guess what? That is 300% more disc pressure on the back of the spine. And that causes wear and tear over time because the spine is really designed for us to be vertical. Like it does well with vertical linear downward pressures, and it disperses that pressure across the disc as a whole, not as just pushing it all in the reverse or the angulations. And we don't move enough. I mean, people don't know how to do the little Egyptian head bob, right, where you go side to side. They know how to like lean their ear to their shoulder, but to actually slide their head left and right, those are muscles that require your head to slide left and right. And
how? I was going to ask, what does that do? It's just an exercise for muscles that we don't normally use, probably?
That's exactly.
How are you doing it, though? I can't do it.
You could if I put you, but I could train you to, like, you sit. I had to get in a mirror, and then you slide your jaw. And it's always funny to do this with folks because I'll see they'll move their jaw. They'll actually try to get their jaw to jut to the left, and they think that they're actually moving their head, and they're not.
Am I doing it?
You are, but you do when you push your shoulders back into your chair. You're actually you're decent at it. But I would imagine you would be because you being in martial arts and rolling around on the floor, you get put into positions that require multiple dynamics of a core neck stability. And so it's very, necessary as a tool for martial art rollers and the jiu-jitsu realm to be able to handle stuff like that. Because if your head can't get comfortable in those odd places and you get stuck there for too long, crick in your neck, muscle spasm, you could hurt the disc. I mean, the body is always about trying to survive. And if you don't have a core neck structure, a core pelvic structure, then that's where people start seeing their spinal misalignments get into an inflamed state. The ligaments, the disc begin to get inflamed, and their pain won't, let up at all. And I got a really chronic back case right now that's coming in. And I don't deal with a lot of these guys, but in this particular instance, he's definitely got a massive amount of inflammatory issues going on, and there's bowel issues going on. I mean, there's some other factors that's not just spinal, but he continually tells me he sits a lot at his desk. He's working excessive amounts of hours, and he's not getting the proper exercise and the mobility that he needs in order to maximize health and wellness. I mean, there is a component to that whole dude not moving and the dude not grooving business that we've got to stay active. And going into the holidays, going into the winter months, going into the flu seasons, into the illness seasons where the weather's like beautiful yesterday, but like I walked out this morning, I was like, ugh.
Smug, overcast.
And I was like, what happened?
Yes.
I thought it was going to be gorgeous today. And but welcome to Texas and Houston. If you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. It'll be a little different.
Mm-hmm.
The cold, by the way. I went up to Nebraska for Thanksgiving. Absolutely did not like the cold at all. Like
your bones felt it.
Oh, it did. And it hurts. Like being cold hurts. I don't understand why people choose to live in states that aren't warm.
Did you complain about it to your family, and did they make fun of you?
Yes.
Yes to both. Okay.
Yes.
Just checking. That's what I figured.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting, right? People that come down from the cold into our environment, and we're all bundled up like 4 layers thick, and they have like T-shirts on, and they laugh at us. But then next year, they're one of us.
Right.
Yeah. Adaptation. Your body adapts. We talked about that a few with the Iceman, Wim Hof, who hiked the Mount Everest in nothing but shorts and boots, right? And how does one do that? He set world records in sitting in cold climates, ice baths, and got his core temperature down to hypothermic levels. I mean, he's done some crazy, amazing, extraordinary things. But adaptation, he's training people to do that. You don't just we're not going to make it, up Mount Everest in a pair of shorts and a boot. Nope, not going to happen.
Not even make it up there. I mean, right now, yeah.
I mean, if all of us just wanted to go jump in a cold plunge pool right now, we should do that. By the way, it'd be fun. It'd be a lot more fun if we did it together.
Both of our faces were like, nah.
I know, right? I know. But we've all gotten a cryo machine before. We know it's valuable. We know we feel better on the backside. If you do these plunge baths, there's so much health benefit to it. But why won't we do it?
It's uncomfortable.
It's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so people have a hard time doing the uncomfortable. And that's just bottom line, the story of all of our lives. The path of least resistance is what we're after. And we want things to be easy, but there is a truth that we have to appreciate. And at Living Well, we're going to just share the truth. Like, we don't want you to have rosy colored glasses that you can just live the way you want to live and expect always to be where you want to be in 5 years, 10 years, if you don't put in some measure of effort. Like, I always tell patients, if you're not putting at least 70% effort into the program, I don't know if you're going to get better. I mean, I might be able to maintain where you're at, but I don't know that I'm going to really see what I'm expecting in what I've seen with patients that stick to the plan to the best of their ability. And it's like that 70% mark, that passing grade is enough to kind of move you forward with health. And I look at it like, if you take 7 steps forward, 70%, and you take 3 steps back, that 30%, you're still a net positive 4. You're still moving forward 4 steps, so you can get ahead. You can still catch up and get ahead a little bit. But man, anything less than that, if you're eating sugar at multiple meals a day, if you're skipping meals and then eating one just gigantuan meal, but it's not necessarily a keto style or paleo style, because that's not what you're doing. You're just eating one big meal a day. You could be setting yourself up for problems. I mean, I've seen with pastors that study all the time, and they develop diabetes because they don't eat. Well, I mean, there's a spiritual fitness, there's a physical fitness, there's a biochemical fitness, there's an emotional fitness. We've got to have all the wellness package put together. We call that the optimization wellness, getting back to the roots of vitality tree that we teach at our office.
Can I go back to that? So diabetes can come from not eating? Because you always think of it the other way.
Well, you got to think that, I mean, it can, but we're talking like these people in these stories that I'm hearing is they're eating. But what they're not eating, they're not eating meals. They're snacking on carbs all day. It's typically what they're doing.
Oh, like the bag of chips and stuff.
And so it's what happens if you just lean on carbs for fuel sources all throughout the day, and then you have one big meal a day. Because reality is if you're fasted all day long, let's say you did a 14-hour fast, and then you had a little window of time, 10 hours, or you did an 8-hour window where you ate food, or you had one meal a day, fine, one meal a day, but it was veggies and protein. That's all it was. And it wasn't doused with tons and tons of pasta and processed preservatives and things that are going to spike your sugar. You're probably not going to develop diabetes. You'd probably reverse diabetes at that point because you're not putting the sugar in. But what I find is that when people say, I never eat, and I get them to track a food log, I find that they're not eating a real meal. They're eating a donut here and there. They're eating a bag of chips here and there. They're eating a power juice drink. They're getting fuel from sugary, carby sources.
That's Kurt for sure.
I know. I saw you pointing.
Yeah, he
way.
does that. He's like, I'm not eating, Gardy. I'm not eating. And I'm like, you're eating something. I can tell just by looking at you. And there's like snack wrappers. And he's not eating meals. He's eating snacks.
That's right. And
Yeah.
and I think that
Diabetes.
I was just telling this little young man the other day that look, if you can't expect what you don't inspect. So if you're not willing to look at your food log and to see what you eat, because people go, well, let me just tell you what I eat. No. I don't want to hear what you are telling me. I want you to write it down so that I can show you what you're really doing. I have this lady that lives up in the Austin area, and she is, has a hard time taking supplements, so we have a little hard time with that. And so we just started with what she would do, and that was track a food log. And there was diet products on there. There was tons and tons of chocolate things on there. Chocolate treats, this and that. There's so many varieties people can get into. Looking for that dopamine push, that I feel good moment. Right. They do prep their meals, but it's all pasta and it's all bread and it's all things that are not necessarily going to keep the insulin spikes at bay. And the more you eat sugary, carby foods, the more your insulin spikes get out of control, which then creates the stress on the blood sugar management. And so we just started with highlighting, okay, let's just can we just focus on breakfast? I didn't even take anything away from her. I mean, I could easily have said, hey, get rid of the diet, get rid of the chocolate, get rid of the bread products. It was, all right, she is like, her gradient is like a crawl. So like we're not even healthy enough to walk a mile right at this point. What can we do to make 1 degree of change for this case? And I'm just always shocked that that some people just have absolutely no compass for health. They have no idea where to start. And at Living Well, we'll take you right where you're at. We'll help you figure out where you're at, but we won't judge you for it. We're just going to say, all right, we're going to, as your coach, help you make 1 degree of change. And so it was first, fill out the food log. We got her doing that, and then we said, all right, let's just focus on breakfast. All right, great. So we just said, let's just see if we can get protein for breakfast. I don't care if it's chicken, fish, turkey, eggs for breakfast. I don't care what you do, but you got to have she's like, oh, what I do a shake for breakfast. I say, great, but I want the shake at 10:30. I want your breakfast when you get up, because you can, even though people say they're in a hurry and they got all this stuff, if you will eat a meal for breakfast and then you'll get that shake in mid-morning, you're going to carry into the afternoon way better from a blood sugar stability and energy perspective and mental clarity perspective than if you skip breakfast and just have that shake only. And I'm not saying that I don't have times where I just do a shake in the morning as I'm running out the door, but it's not my everyday. And that's what we started seeing, is that she was eating 3 times a week these protein breakfasts. That was step 1. It wasn't every day, but it was a gradient. Well, just got a report right before Thanksgiving that she's lost, almost 7 or 8 pounds, and she's like really excited because she goes, I didn't think I'd be losing weight doing this, and but I'm sort of kind of seeing it. And then we've got her doing a few little bowel cleanses. She's starting to open up to some of opportunities to do some things on her end to help speed up the process and clean her system out, and it's working, and she's like so mesmerized by it. And I'm just thinking, man, if people only knew that they could just make 1 degree of change in their diet, and then if we could just clean their bowels out a little bit, and they would start to see some traction and result, they would start, that motivation naturally comes, and now they're not crawling down their wellness path, they're walking, or they're skipping, or they're way more mobile moving forward towards that 70-80% zone. And so we can get you there. It's just helping you figure out what you're doing. People don't realize that they're reaching for the Skittles 3 times, 4 times a day. They don't realize that they're going to that other, their friend's desk because they always got candy at the desk. Who here in the church has the candy jar? I'm sure some of you do.
Kurt, where's the candy jar? I know you know this.
Oh,
I know where the mint jar is, but I don't know where the candy jar is.
But that's your candy jar.
That's the candy jar.
I know where there's 3 of them, and I cycle through them throughout the day.
Here you go.
And so it's amazing that eat like a king for breakfast or a queen, eat like a prince or a princess for lunch, and eat like a peasant or a beggar for dinner. Like, going back to some of those basic principles is how you get through the holidays and not gain weight, like Pastor Hallam was talking about. I mean, wouldn't that be good if people had that mindset?
Here's a question and a couple comments that came in from Celian. Good morning, Celian. What's up? So she had mentioned that I'll read all three of these. She said, I have a bad sweet tooth. Sometimes I eat candy for breakfast, and then I'll make myself a real breakfast. That was comment one. And then she had said something about along the lines of, I'm trying to make sure that I get more vegetables, but I don't know if I should do a green powder supplement to make it easier on some days. I'm going to say yes. Then the third comment, I used to love a good shake for breakfast, but it became a lot. I felt like I had to chug and chug, so I never finished it. What do you think about that last comment?
So that was a big shake?
Yeah, it's just like make a shake for breakfast. And I've done that before myself where it's like, man, I'm not going to finish it. But then I came along the lines of like, even if I drink half of it because I'm full, it's better than
I just
the
never
alternative.
make it.
Right.
Because it's a lot of work to make a shake.
No, it's not. So simplest way. You could take a one of those shaker cups. As long as I got a shaker thing in it, I can take a baggie of powder and that little shaker cup with me, walk out the door, and it's ready for me whenever. Mm-hmm. But if it's too much and you feel like you're having to work a shake down, a liquid drink down, then we got to look at what you're putting in it. Like maybe you're putting too many scoops. Like, yes, the label says you need 2 scoops to hit a serving, but what if for your body type, that's too much and you need to do half that? That's okay. I mean, I have patients that my shakes say 2 scoops, and I start them at 1 scoop because I know my shakes are quality. I know that they're going to decrease inflammation. They're going to deburden blood, deburden the brain, deburden the inflammation factors that are happening in the gut. Therefore, the body's going to detox. So if I came in too quick with a powerful cleansing shake supplement, I could cause them to have a small detox reaction. I don't want that. I don't want them to feel that. I want to gently bring them into the fold of well-being, and they don't feel that shift because, again, people are unfamiliar with what that feels like. Maybe the protein that you're using is a poor quality protein that's making your system bloat. Maybe there's a disruption in the gut lining that where you feel like you're having to chug and chug and chug, again, it's more than your body can manage because of what level of bacterial undergrowth or overgrowth happening in the gut.
Well, Gardy and I, when we first did the cleanse the very first time, I hope you're okay with me saying, I'll say it for myself, but
I'm not okay with whatever you're about to say. I'll just say
he does not approve.
Ever.
We were discontent, because we had like bloating and stuff going on because we had never taken that much veggie, those supplements, and you actually had a remedy to combat that reaction that we were having the very first time that we did the cleanse.
So there's a couple things, right? Like, so when a person comes into our office and they've never really eaten real food, they're really on the fried food, fast food nation diet. We call that the standard American diet or the SAD diet. And I know it's terrible. SAD, Standard American Diet. It's just an acronym.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, makes it all better, right? Is if you haven't had enough fiber, and that is one area where we have seen keto and the no grain living has created a problem. Is it's taken these fiber sources away, and fibers feed different types of bacteria in your gut. And if you don't, if all of a sudden, once a year, because you do a detox with us, you start adding nothing but vegetables for 10 days and a fiber product, through a shake, your system is going to go through an aftermath. I mean, it's going to go haywire.
Right.
I mean, and it's not because the program is bad. It's because you just fed fertilizer on a bacterial strain or several bacterial strains that have been in dormant sleeping state for 9 months, and their body and your body is not acclimated, going back to that adaptation. So what would we do? We would say, all right, well, let's cut the shake in half. Let's help put in some chamomile marshmallow to calm and soothe the gut lining. Let's maybe add in some gymnema. She said she had a sweet tooth because gymnema is very powerful. Chromium picolinate and a product we use called Proglyco-SP or Cataplex GTF. Very powerful in regulating blood sugar cravings, sweet teeth. or sweet tooths. And so if you have a sweet tooth, you have sweet teeth. It's funny.
That's a good nickname.
Like
What's up, Sweet Teeth?
Come on over here.
It's a pet
Sweet
name,
Teeth.
yeah.
I want a T-shirt that says that I am Sweet Teeth.
I wonder if I went home and I
yeah.
called my wife Sweet Teeth. Come here,
Sweet
Sweet Teeth. And she
See,
might
just
it'd
let
be
us
like
know.
It'd be like Proverbs or Song of Solomon talking. Your teeth are like stags or something like that. and it's like
Taste
what?
of peppermint
Yeah, that's right.
and peppermint oils.
And
This
but
is the only reason why I'm single is because I haven't said sweet teeth to somebody.
That's not
there
it.
you go.
That's not it.
Let's see, but anyway, when you put and so I'm reading it right here. I make my shake with protein, banana, yogurt, cinnamon, and ice. So
And using 1 scoop of the protein.
and water, half water, half milk, but I do only 1 scoop. Okay, great. So in this case, I could bet just looking at this and knowing that Solian has definitely been on our show fan club for a long time, and by the way, thank you for that. I'm very excited to always have you and see your smiling profile picture there. And but the milk, the banana, the yogurt could all be bloating you because it's dairy. Maybe you have a dairy allergy. That's my first wonder. And I'm betting the protein is a whey-based protein, and I bet you're having a hard time digesting all of that in one setting. I would drop the banana or half it. I would take the milk out, switch it over to like almond milk or and unsweetened almond milk. Take all the sugar out of it, and let's break that program down and see if it continues to happen. I bet you if you did the 1 scoop and maybe the cinnamon and maybe put some blueberries in it, that would be a better potential shake for you that would be easier to digest.
Yeah, and I think about that and I break it down because like if I had a banana for breakfast, I would kind of feel full. If I had like a protein and some kind of like almond milk and drank that, I would kind of feel full. Yogurt
now
maybe.
And now you're putting all that together, and it seems like it's more of kind of like a plate of food.
Right.
But really and truly, I can't tell you how many people I've met that they eat a banana and they get sleepy. And it's because it spikes their insulin. It causes a change in how their blood sugar regulates. And they have there's two facets there. You've got, the blood sugar insulin issue of resistance, like you have insulin resistance, or you have just flat out blood sugar mismanagement in the peripheral tissues. Like the body itself just cannot manage the sugars that you put in because I don't want to say you, Solian, but just people in general have abused their blood sugar management pathways for years. And so now we're confused on what to eat. And so to your point, Gardy, like a protein shake oftentimes is loaded with so much stuff that it's a meal replacement, and you don't need anything extra. You just need almond milk or water and some ice and, bada bing. If it is, in this case, you have an allergy to milk, then the yogurt and the milk could be inflaming the tissues, making you bloat, and or that banana. And I'm going to tell you, of all what I'm seeing there, I'd take those 3 things out and see how you do. And I bet you would find next week you could even comment back in and say, hey, I tried it, and you're right. I didn't feel bloated. Now, let's say that you came back next week and you did. I said, all right, I want to know, is it a whey protein, rice protein, hemp protein? What kind of protein source are we getting? And that way we can figure out and break it down further, because it shouldn't do that, right? We should all be able to have a shake together and not have any negative effect. And although, it does sound tasty, but everything that does sound tasty is very sweet.
Yes. So you're listening to KHEA Radio with Dr. Aaron Chapa. It's a Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center podcast. Make sure you share this out. Let us know what you got going on today. Today we have our good friend Kurt in studio hanging out with us as well.
And poor Solian, she goes, it sounds depressing. I want my banana. But yes, but again, it's just an experiment to see what we can do to make it work. And so, whenever people come in, this is what we do. Is people have got so many different health challenges, and they don't really know what's causing it anymore, and they don't recognize that food can do it. I mean, do you guys have any foods that you shouldn't be getting into because it does something specific to you?
Yeah.
Every day.
That we eat anyways, is what you're saying? Or?
Yeah. And every time you do it, you have an issue.
Well, there's some
day.
things I cut out. What about you, Kurt? What are you going to say?
Every day. It's every food. 'Cause
Every meal?
I eat cheese a lot. I'm a cheese guy, so I know. I
So it's
usually
like cheese for every meal?
cheese for every meal.
Okay. So
No, I actually I should be honest. Right now I'm usually only doing like one meal, and it's usually something healthy like chicken nuggets that are grilled, or like
it's the one meal guy. Also, he didn't know that mints were candy. Like, come on. He was like, I go to the mint bowl.
So to be fair, that is what I'm currently doing. But if I go, like I went home and I had Taco John's, and it's my favorite. I am the hugest Taco John's fanboy. It's like Tex-Mex.
Okay.
But they don't come to Texas.
It ain't Tex-Mex.
It's like Tex-Mex in Wyoming. So
Can only imagine.
right. And I love it. But I realized like the next day, like I always feel bad because it has probably cheese, it has meat.
Well, I mean, but when you say you feel bad, do you feel like fatigued? Do you feel like you just want to sleep all day?
No, I feel
you feel depressed?
I have gas.
Oh, yes.
Thank
like
you for sharing.
burping gas, not
Oh, well, intestinal gases.
yes.
So, but either way, if it's burping, it's your liver's inability to break it down,
Right.
right? If it's intestinal, it typically is the inability to break down the carbohydrates, or the intestines are inflamed due to potentially whatever inflammatory food you just ate. So it's hard to know. And some of the meals,
Right.
That's why you have to look at like a variety of meals. And I think that we've talked enough in the past that you kind of know certain foods that could potentially be causing it. You do it anyway, but you're okay with you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, it's just dealing with people, like, and I realize that not everybody's going to adopt everything that we teach. What happens is people get in a bind, and their body is in so much turmoil and pain that they have to comply with what their body's telling them. It's not that I'm twisting their arm; it's that they're willing to do anything and everything. One of our clinicians at the office was talking today in a group chat that we have about an ulcerative colitis patient, which if you know anybody that has Crohn's or ulcerative colitis, it's extraordinarily painful. I mean, it's literally like ulcers aligning your entire stomach. So if you ever had an ulcer in your mouth, that's very inflamed. It's painful. You bite it, and you can't not bite it because it's so swollen, and it's just continual pain, right? Well, think of just having these opened wounds all throughout your intestinal tract, your colon area, and every time food crosses over it, it irritates it. And then I've had patients come in and say, but interestingly, doc, when I eat pizza and fast food hamburgers, I feel better.
Nice.
And then I say, well, what happens when you eat a lettuce leaf? I feel worse. Well, let's just break that down for a moment, right? So I give you nutrients that can potentially build you up, and it makes you worse. I downloaded good software, your body upregulated, tried to run a process, and the process broke down, and that created the pain. On the flip side is I feed processed garbage foods in, and when you mix dairy products, wheat products together, partially hydrogenated oils together, what we call the 4 deadly food additives, artificial sugars, high fructose corn syrup. When you put all that stuff together, it creates an inflammation response. Well, what happens during inflammation? We kind of alluded to it earlier. If you're in an extremely inflamed state, you can have an adrenaline dump. You can have an adrenaline lift. Your adrenals will kick in, and you will temporarily feel better.
Right.
And so, yes, you could potentially use food as medicine, but find that it's actually destroying your health or killing you on the backside because it's inflaming you long term. One bad meal can affect you easily for 3 days. Like if I eat a cheat meal, I can assuredly know that within 72 hours, what I have learned about Aaron's body, and I'm not saying this is for everybody because everybody's got a different story. Like I've seen a patient eat wheat and they get a nosebleed. I've seen a patient eat MSG and they get a migraine. I've seen, whatever the cheat is, they get a sinus cold. For me, I'll have a afternoon of fatigue or even depression. I'll just be in a fog. And it is really uncomfortable. Well, there's 3 million more neurotransmitters in the gut than there is in the brain. So there's all kinds of neurological distress that can occur with food. And so once that meal passes through the system, I can almost feel instantly. It doesn't even have to come out of my system yet. It just has to get past whatever mile marker that's where the congestion is, and it's slow and bogged down. Once it clears that space, body feels fine. And it's the wackiest, weirdest thing, but it is so patterned because this is what my body, patterns are. Every system has a pattern. So when we sit with patients in our office and we go through their food logs, we talk them through the holidays, we talk them through, traveling and how to handle going to, out of town events, that we always find there's patterns that their body displays. And then what they start figuring out is when they start having that pattern show up in their normal life, they go, what did I do? Instead of being completely bewildered, they're investigating.
So for me, going back to what I've usually done, is the other thing that I've noticed is when I go out to eat, that the next day I do feel bad. Even an hour or two after, I feel like I overate. That feeling that we all have when we overeat. The other thing that I've noticed is, especially in this time, if I eat 2 meals in a day, let's say I eat lunch and then dinner. If I eat 2 meals during the day, then I feel bad. But then I go back to eating 1 meal a day, or if I take a day off without eating food, then I do feel better. It's just interesting how your metabolism changes when you adjust kind of how much you eat, or what the amount of food is what I'm talking about, not necessarily what it is, but the amount of food.
And I think that is a great, kind of appreciation for, it isn't just about eating the right stuff. What you eat's important, but what you don't eat is more important. And but at the end of the day, you can overeat good stuff too. I remember being on a no sugar diet. I was eating as clean as I could be, but it was, I don't know, it was like 10 ounces of protein, and it had some, a little bit of carb. It was it's what the bodybuilders call the bro diet, and it was like 4,000 calories or 4,500 calories or something. And I remember getting through my first, my cheeks are actually watering, not in a good way. They're like, no, please don't do that to us again, ever. But I remember getting a week into that, and I didn't realize, and this is what's so wild about food, is I didn't realize that it was the food at first, even myself. But I started slipping into this really dark place. I thought I was needed to take a vacation, something was wrong, right? And things were going good, so I was trying to assess I shouldn't be feeling like this. Things are good in my life. God is good, kids are good, wife's good, business is good, life's good, patients are good, and I'm really confused. And it was all through the December holidays, which is one of my favorite times of the year. So again, no good reason for this. And come the 1st of January, Jennifer and Molly decided they wanted to do a gallbladder flush. And I'm like, great, I'll do a gallbladder flush with you. I mean, I need a break from all this, food I'm eating anyway. I don't want to eat this, and I can't do this. And so sure enough, I jump on a gallbladder flush, and within 2 days, it was like the skies parted. It was like the Red Sea opened up, and I was walking on dry land. I felt freedom that I had never felt ever. And I'm like, what in the world? And then all of a sudden, it just dawned on me. Those 3 million neurotransmitters were suppressed. There was so much food in my belly, I couldn't function neurologically. And so you've got to look at what you're eating. I've played with my diet over the years, and now I find that 4 ounces of protein in a meal is plenty. It's all I need. Am I going to win a bodybuilding show around it? No, but I don't want to. I know what I want, right? I mean, again, to be an extreme athlete, you got to do extreme things, but to be a wellness person, somebody that is ready for whenever it shows up, to be able to think on my feet, to be able to be present in the treatment room, present on the radio, present in friends, family, and relationships. I want to make certain that I'm there and alive and vibrant with my family and with my people. Because at the end of the day, feeling those dark spaces with food, it really helped me appreciate that just because it's healthy, you can overeat it, and it will suppress you. It will make your system, you'll be cranky, moody, frustrated, agitated, inflamed. And then when you start pulling off, and then right after that gallbladder flush, we went into our detox. And then, I just go, yeah, well, I know what I'm not doing whenever I get off this detox, And then, but I've had my meals set at, 6 ounces of protein, 5 ounces of protein, 4 ounces of protein, 3 ounces of protein. And with my activity level, I've found that 4 ounces really fits my mold. And then I just put in the veggies to match. So I'll do 4 ounces of veggies, 4 ounces of protein, and twice a day I'll have, half a sweet potato. And that gives me some carb. I do a little half Ezekiel muffin in the morning, and that gives me a little bit of that fiber along with all the vegetables that I'm putting in. And I'm training my body, again, to eat like it's supposed to, and to thrive in the world that I operate in. And that's what we're trying to get people to recognize, is that they are in more control of their health and well-being than they realize. And at Living Well, we're going to continually teach that message. And that's what we love coming on the show and sharing. It's fun to chat it out. We've
kind of gone full circle with how we started the conversation, with how we ended the conversation on this podcast, which is kind of cool.
I love it how it kind of played out. We had a good triad today. That was fun.
It was planned and scripted, the whole thing.
That's right. Time. That's right. It's all right here. We have one of those.
Every time.
The notes, the teleprompter.
Yeah. Oh, there it is.
Oh, I missed a line. Okay, sorry.
Come on, Gardy, that was yours. So anyway, at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, guys, we are excited that you guys tune in. We're excited that you guys share this podcast out with your friends, family, and loved ones. We're just thankful that you guys are tuned in on all of our social media platforms. Look forward to our group detox programs coming up. We have those kicked off in our group chat, but we have those starting here pretty soon. We are going to be talking about detox a little bit, because we have our kickoff meeting on the 7th, and it's so weird to see. 7th, do you know what year? 2023. It's cool. It's nuts. But it's going to be at 11 a.m. And then we're going to be starting the detox on the 9th. So I hope that you guys have a wonderful day today and this week, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week. Visit our website at justlivewell.com, and if you need us, we'd love to be your number one health and wellness resource in all of your health and wellness needs. Give us a call, 281-554-8600. Have a great day.
This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM.